right.
All right.
Hey, Seth David here. I'm here with John Ferraro, CEO of Nimble, and I think it's worth noting how we actually met.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I don't know if you remember this, but the way we originally met, unbeknownst to us, by the time we met, I knew your brother. But
Yeah.
that's not how we met.
No.
We could have very likely been introduced that way, but actually, years ago, I was invited at the last minute by a friend of mine, Chris Voss,
Yeah.
who was invited to attend a release party for AT&T. This is years ago for one of the Android operating systems that had been, at that time, was just coming out.
Yeah.
And it was at the Grove in Los Angeles here, at one of the restaurants there, where they're having this party. And Chris invited me. It was last minute. He said, "Look, somebody I invited dropped out. Do you mind, or would you like to come?" I said, "Absolutely."
Uh-huh.
And I went there that night, and while I was hanging out with Chris, I ended up meeting a guy who at that time was working for you, a guy by the name of Garrett.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Garrick actually introduced us, and I told him a lot about what I was doing in terms of, at that time I was doing Hangouts on Google Plus every Friday, and I was doing an interview series, and that's how we originally met.
Yeah.
And it's, again, that's, I think, underscores how it's all about the connections that we make, and how one connection leads to another. I mean, I knew Chris through social media. Chris invited me to this event where I meet somebody else who introduces me to you, and then you and I hit it off, and over the years we've done a lot together, and then, as it turns out, we were going through Nimble at one point, and I think that was when you noticed, hey, you know, you're connected to my brother, Mike. Yeah. And I said, yeah, I helped him out on an accounting project some years back. And so it's just funny how we live in such a small world.
Well, you know, I think what you're demonstrating here is the messiness and the beauty of relationships.
Mm-hmm.
That they start in one place and they lead to another, and one connection might lead to an opportunity that will change your life. And how can you set yourself up so you're prepared to identify these moments and make the most of them? That is the thing that we're going to talk about at our QuickBooks Connect session, is how relationships might start on Twitter, then lead to a LinkedIn connection, to a calendar invite, to a GoToMeeting conversation, and then if you're doing things right, eventually lead to a connection and deeper relationship in Facebook and Instagram, and ultimately drive measurable business success. Because today you need to be listening and communicating on whatever channel your customer is communicating and comfortable on. And in the old days, that used to be fax and phone and meetings in person. Today it's Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, Foursquare, Google+, Crunchbase, AngelList, Instagram, and Snapchat.
Right.
Right?
That was good. You had that down.